moderate.
Jimmy's a moderate?
Oh, I lean a little to the right. I'm like, you lean more than a little to the right.
Jimmy's way. He's got this. I was talking to him today, and he was saying he's got this. He's got a little bit of MJ in him, a little bit of Brian in him, and a little bit of John in him as he's describing himself today. It's like, dude, in some ways
there's enough room for everybody in there.
We're completely different. Good evening, everyone. We are here. We are live. It's Tuesday night with Brian. We are going to be talking fun stuff tonight. We've got some a little deeper topics that we're going to get into tonight.
Right.
Sometimes we kind of have some fun with some music things, and we're pretty kind of glossing over. But tonight we're going to get into, in both shows, a little bit more in-depth things, because we've had some people asking about in the first session, we're going to be talking about some business things, because we've got some folks, hey, I want to get started. This is the time of year when college kids are starting to think about making some money doing the DJ things, or those of us who are thinking, hey, maybe I could pick up some shows. So we're going to talk a little bit, Jimmy.
I put my glasses on to make myself look smarter.
Yeah, you do, man.
We're so serious tonight.
We got to use bigger words. We need to use like 3 and 4 syllable words now.
Right.
So our first we're going to talk about is basically, I want to get to the official here. We had a question come in, and they were asking, are they curious how to manage the business aspect of, like getting the leads and the sales pitch and signing, basically everything from beginning to end. And I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about, Brian, from the aspect of the world of social media has changed how you and I, when we first started DJing and we were going mobile, how we would handle our leads, or where our leads came from, in the whole 10 yards. And let's kind of start out with that. When you first started and you were looking to get your business going and such, where were you getting the word out that you existed?
My situation was a little unique because I had already made a name for myself in the business in town. So all I had to do was make some phone calls to say, hey guys, I'm up and running. And they just threw me all of their overflow, just because they wanted to have someone solid to refer business to. And I still get some of that, but above and beyond that, for like new leads, it was all kinds of stuff. I mean, if they ran some kind of wedding special in the local paper, I buy an ad in that. Yep. And I get calls on that. Of course, business cards are always a good thing to have. And I got into this business right when everybody I knew was getting married in high school. So they're in their early 20s. They're all starting to get married. I got all that business. So they would call me, hey, I'm getting married. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And I'm thinking they're going to invite me to the wedding. No, we need a DJ.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was, yeah. I mean, I think the thing I got the most traction from was probably the word of mouth, just because I was already established. But above and beyond that, for like new traffic, it was a whole lot of, wedding specials in the papers. Yep. Or even those little cards you used to have at the grocery store. You could like post like you were selling a car or your lost cat or whatever.
Up on a bulletin board.
Those up, and I get calls from that, just in my little area that I was working in.
In that area that you're working in at that time, did you have a lot of competition? Were there 10 DJs working for 10,000 people type of thing?
Well, back then, I mean, come on, let's face it, I was young. There's always competition. I was coming in competitively, but I was coming in with cooler stuff than everybody else, and I was coming in very fresh. So I had that advantage. But yeah, there was still competition, absolutely. And when I say my little area, I'm talking about, 25 minutes outside of the city. I was still working in the city too, but I had this more kind of rural area that I did work in because I knew people there, and it kind of let me cut my teeth.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things when we started out in the mid to late 80s and early 90s. There were some limiting factors that we don't have today, and one of those was just the music, where you got the music.
Yeah, and
that was such a huge limiting factor because you couldn't go out and just start up a DJ company.
It's funny. We went to I've got a computer issue that I won't get into, but we had to go to the mall area, Mm-hmm. And there's a Red Robin there, and we wanted a burger, so we went to Red Robin, and it occurred to me that this building used to be Camelot Music. Oh, yeah. And that's where I would go and get all my stuff. I mean, I got my cool imports there for club stuff. I would get my weird, obscure oldies requests there that I would, have when my clients would send in their mailers. I would have to go to the store and get this stuff. And if they didn't have it, I'd have to order it from them.
Yep.
There was no internet that I was aware of that I could do this on. Very, very different. And then when that store closed, and I was telling Blanca this too, it was kind of funny. Sometimes it would be, 10 after 10 at night on a Tuesday, and I'm sitting around, in November or whatever, and I'm saying to myself, I wonder if they have that new George Michael single at Tower Records in Chicago. And I would get in the car and just like, can I get there by midnight? And I would just go and buy it, like on impulse. It was like that back then. So I mean, you really had to be into your music. You really had to know how to have, I guess, a comprehensive library, because you couldn't carry everything with you. It just wasn't even
possible. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't practical anyway. I mean,
For sure.
I had a lot of CDs, but to carry them all with me, I didn't have a vehicle that big.
Yeah.
So I would have to bring my cherry picks. That's what I had. That's what was going to work best for pretty much whatever crowd I ran into. Of course, I didn't have my specialty stuff all the time, but I did have that. So yeah, I mean, from that aspect of it, just like you said, having that comprehensive music library was a big deal at one time.
Very much so.
Especially on CD, because everything wasn't always available on CD.
Yeah. Yeah. A number of times we still had to, here you can, there's a cassette version of it, because we had, shoot, it just slipped me. The other record store that was huge at the time.
Well, there was JR's, there was Sam Goody.
Yeah, it was a version, Sam Goody.
I never had luck in there. But when I did the Columbia House Shuffle too.
Oh yeah.
You get the Columbia House thing, you get 12 CDs for a penny, and then you had to buy so many.
6 more.
But if you signed a friend up, you got 3 more free ones. So I would sign up everybody I knew into this program.
Yep.
I didn't care. I'd sign people's cats up. I didn't care. And I would just get all that. But when it came to anything that wasn't completely mainstream, I had to go to Camelot. That was the best place for imports at the time on digital format. If you wanted records, that was a different thing. But if you wanted CDs, which was hot back in the early 90s, for a mobile DJ to have an all CD service, because most of them had scratch shield 45s.
Mm-hmm.
That's what most of them had. So that made us unique. We were cooler. We were all digital. We called that digital.
That was digital.
Yeah, all digital music library.
Yep, and then it would go out from the digital by the RCA's analog to the board, and analog out of the board to the amplifier, and out of the amplifier to the speakers. But boy, we were digital.
Well, it was a digital compact disc, so hey.
We were digital.
Yeah. And then if, a lot of stories about that. But yeah, the music library was a big deal. Today, it's, of course, a lot different. Anybody can pretty much start this up within a week. You can.
Very much so.
If you, download some music, and you can even steal some stuff or buy somebody's drive and go to Guitar Center and buy some equipment, and you're a DJ by Tuesday night.
Yeah, isn't that something? 24 hours you can be playing music.
Or you can just run it online. You can just stream everything. You can have. I know a guy, I swear to you, and I met this guy this summer, and I won't say his name, and I won't say where he works, but I met him, and he was a really nice guy, and he was telling me how the way he does it is he brings 2 laptops with him,
mm-hmm.
and he logs on his laptops to the network in-house, and he plays all of his tracks off of YouTube. So one machine, he's looking for YouTube, and he finds the right video, and okay, well, I got that one. I'll use my crossfader. I mean, come on. I mean, he does it. Somebody's paying him to do this.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So you could do it. I mean, back then you couldn't just go do it. You had to have a vehicle, all the stuff. You had to have copies of the library. You had to, and we were different. I mean, really different from some of the old school guys out there at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. I remember when some of the guys that we were first competing with in the area, which weren't as many as there are today by any means, but it was guys who were in a certain genre, and they really didn't move out of that genre. And there were some older guys who were basically country and old time DJs. Mm-hmm. And there was a couple of guys who were basically disco, and they didn't have anything beyond that. And then there was a couple of guys who were from the top 40 station. They were just top 40, and you wouldn't get oldies music from them. And that was when we had that first larger library of things from all ends of the spectrum. It was really kind of unheard of in this vicinity at that time. So it was a different world.
Oh yeah. But if we go back to, I guess I don't remember who the poster was, but the original question had something to do with, if we could throw it out there, how do you manage your business?
Yep.
How do you, I got copy pasted. I'm actually kind of organized today. Manage the business aspect of getting a lead, making the sales pitch, signing the contract, keeping them happy, and finally getting paid and getting a good review. It's a mouthful.
That is, and all the discussion about what the easy entry point that we, or I should say, the difficult entry point that we had compared to today, it pertains because we're starting out with getting a lead. Where we got our leads is different in some ways than it is today.
The way I got them was very organic, I guess is the best way I can describe it. Now it's a little different. I suppose you can still do organic leads. You can still tell all your friends, hey, guess what I do now? I mean, anybody on Facebook that I've ever seen who starts working at a car dealership tells everybody that they're now working at a Hyundai dealership.
Yep.
And if you need a Hyundai, I'm your guy. If you need parts, I'm your guy because I'm the parts guy at the Hyundai dealership or whatever it is, the Ford or whatever. It's the same thing, but it's using a slightly different medium. You're just letting everyone know that you're doing this now. And then someone's going to say, hey, actually a friend of mine I just read on Facebook, a friend of mine is DJ now.
Yep. Maybe
you should call him. He's a really nice guy. This is kind of how it happens organically. I feel like it's a word of mouth kind of thing, which is, one way you could do it, but referral is also good. If you can get out there, if you're doing gigs now at any capacity, whether it's stuff you've booked yourself, whether you're working at the local bar or whether you're working for a service, just the referrals are great. If you do a great job for somebody, they're going to tell a friend.
Yeah.
And this is the rule, by the way, and I've learned this in time. If you do a really good job at something, they're going to tell a friend. If you do a crap job, they're going to tell everybody. That's the rule.
Yep.
So you got to make sure when you're going out there, you're doing the best job you can. The other thing that you can, I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
Yeah. I wanted to, you were mentioning the organic leads and such. And I think one of the differences between when you and I started and today is that when you and I started, our friends knew that we were DJs and they didn't know 5 DJs. Today, because of just exactly what you described, that, hey, I'm a DJ on Facebook, everybody knows 5 DJs.
Oh, sure.
So it's a different world. Mm-hmm. But that the second one you mentioned, the doing a good job and getting the referrals is still the bread and butter of so many people out there.
I've mentioned this before. When I was doing cars, there was always that story about the guy who had been doing this for 30 years and he didn't do anything but sit at his desk and people would just come to him all day because he sold somebody a new Cadillac every year. That's just what he did. And he had that client base. He didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to hustle for leads. They all just came back to him. And it's kind of the same thing with DJing. I think once you get established, word of mouth gets out there, referrals get out there, and unless you're trying to run a multi-app service and you're trying to fill 12 dates every weekend, if you're just running one date, if you really wanted to, and you were aggressive about it and reminded people that you were still out there, you could work all the time and not do much. Mm-hmm. I don't do much, John. I don't have to do much.
Yeah.
I do a little bit. I do, and it pays off, but I don't have to do much anymore. It's different.
Yeah, and one area in which this past week actually worked really well. I don't know why it was a good week, but my marketing and such used to be, as Jimmy mentioned, phone book, the cards up on the bulletin boards, as you mentioned, and all these different little aspects, the newspapers. It's back before we owned the newspaper, but we used to have we used to take out those ads and those little bright.
We are the media now.
And now that we own it, I don't. Although Lori does put a filler head in there for me, and that generally is about the time when I'm like, I don't want to talk to another bride about a wedding, and that's when they call.
Right.
But today, one of the strongest leads beyond the recommendations or referrals is got to be marketing or target marketing on Facebook. And Brian, you and I have talked about this before. Mm-hmm. You can do such a tight ad. I have one ad going right now on Facebook. I looked at it yesterday, and it has been going since Labor Day, and it's just targeting to gals, and then yes, women is it. in the geographic region I want to work that fit the criteria in which I want to work
Sure.
with. And I believe that gave me about 6,000 people, potential people. Well, that
Right.
particular ad led to 2 calls last Thursday, and I've got a meeting set up this week with them, so I'll be talking to them and such. I wanted to give a little bit more time so that I could see them.
It pays for itself real quick.
Oh, very, very much so. Because again, it's
Right.
$15 at most. It's put into that so far. It's not been a ton of money.
Sure.
Because of defining that. So your leads, the referrals are huge. Reggie mentioned here that some of the bars, are wanting to have basically having him come in for experience and exposure and giving him a bar tab.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sometimes that can, if you can make it work for you, great. I mean, you think about your advertising. I'm going to spend $2,000 in advertising. Well, if I don't spend any money and I can get work from doing the bar thing, you could view it as, in essence, advertising investment that way. But I've never worked in a bar that I've been able to go and take and get 10 bookings a year out of that bar.
I heard, I'm not a movie quote guy. I don't do that a lot, but in the Batman, the Dark Knight movie, the Joker said something I'll never forget. When the criminals were talking to him about, why do you want us to pay you to kill Batman? And he's like, well, when you're good at something, never do it for free. I thought, duh!
Yeah.
That's a stroke of brilliance.
Yeah,
when
for sure.
You're good at something, never do it for free. I love it. And I live by that. Those are good rules to keep in your head. I learned it from the Joker. Go figure. Yeah, I learned it from the Joker. He taught me how to do this. Yeah, if you're good at something, never do it for free. I mean, it's one thing to go in and say, you know what? I'll give you a break on this. It's going to be a consistent gig. I'll work with you. But it's quite another thing to go in and just completely free, and it costs you money to go to work. It's ridiculous. You should get something back from it. The other thing I've noticed is when you give people things, they tend not to appreciate them as much as when they have to pay for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just human nature. It is. You ever seen a rich kid, how they take care of their things? They don't take care of their things.
Not bad.
Poor kids take care of their things, so they know they're not going to get another one. So they take care of their stuff because they appreciate it. But anyway, yeah, another thing that people do, and I did it. I did it a little bit. I didn't do it at the level people are doing it now, but I used to do preferred vendor a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little different. There's kickbacks involved and things like that. And I just have moral issues with that. I want someone to refer me to a client because they like me, not because they have some kind of monetary gain from it. And that's a morality thing with me. If you do it, there's nothing wrong with that. But some people do it. That's just another way you can get a lead. So I think we've kind of covered most of the ways I can think about how a person can get a lead for a gig, just in casual conversation.
Yeah, exactly. And there's other ways, with bridal shows and doing some different things. And let's see, Rockin' Out DJ Service mentioned, there's craft fairs and car shows and different things where you can get exposure and seen, and any of those can bring leads in. There's just a variety.
Maybe.
Maybe. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things is that and they talk about this in social media when I'm sitting in on these seminars and such, is that it used to be you could just basically put your shingle out and in one spot and you could do your stuff and you were great. Now you have to be here and here and here and here and here and all these different things because everyone is all over. There's some people who they only use Twitter. There's people who only use this. They only do that, whatever. So it becomes a different world when it comes to that. So making the sales pitch. This is kind of an interesting one in this day and age. And I wanted to throw the idea out there, Brian, has it changed when we used to get those phone calls? How many did you meet with back then, early in the process when we were first starting out?
Not many at all. Very few.
Yeah.
Very few. Most of the time I would book it on the phone.
Yep.
You didn't usually have to meet with these clients. Why are we meeting with clients? I have theories on this. One of my theories is I think that the industry that we're in is so tarnished. Some people want to make sure that we're for real.
Mm-hmm.
Because anybody can say they're a DJ. They've figured that out. So I get that. They want to make sure that I'm legit, so they want to meet with me. But I was just talking about this last week. I don't mind meeting with people if they're serious and excited about what I have to offer.
Yeah.
What I don't want to do is meet with people if all they want to do at the end of the day is price shop and drill information.
Yep.
And when it comes to actually specifically booking my services, not interested in meeting with these people. So when I do talk to them on the phone or I do have an email correspondence with them, it's my responsibility to field these people and to kind of pre-qualify them before I even meet with them and ask some questions about what they're looking at. Are you looking for? Is there a price range you want to stay in? And if they're telling me, well, yeah, we want to be under $500, I say, well, look, I'm just going to let you know right now, I'm not your guy. Your guy's out there. I guarantee he's available for your date. I don't guarantee he's going to show, but I guarantee he's available. I'm not your guy. We just need to shake hands apart friends now because I can't help you.
Yep.
Neither could you. You couldn't help somebody like that.
Yeah, exactly. Our time has gotten to the point where it's too valuable, and not that we're saying $500 isn't a lot of money. It's just we've gotten to the point now where we have to make that decision of what it takes for us to go out and leave family.
Yeah,
and do what we do.
Especially if it's a consultation. I mean, free consultation. I've warmed up to that idea. Okay, fine, we'll do it. Over the past several years, they need it. Whatever, let's do it. Let's make sure we're a good fit, all that kind of stuff. And for that reason, I don't mind doing it. But if it's just for some specific things, we can take care of this over the phone. If you want to find out who I am after we take care of these things over the phone, if this is something you want to pursue and you're interested in doing, yeah, let's meet.
Yep.
If not, I've told you what you needed to know. Let's just move on because I got stuff to do. I could be doing anything other than sitting with somebody at 12 o'clock noon on a Sunday after a gig. I could be doing a magnitude of different things.
Yep, for sure.
A multitude of different things. There's a better word for it.
Yeah, we got to put
processor slow. Hard drive's big, processor slow.
You need to put your glasses back on, and then you could use some big words.
I can think better with my glasses on.
And I think that meeting idea, they're talking about video, Google or Skype type things, and I think that's and I've used that more this fall, this late summer and fall than ever before. Partially because now more people are comfortable with that medium, and secondly is that I'm not pushing as hard for the meeting. I'm pushing to have a conversation,
right?
But not wanting to go and because there's times where you're on the phone and you just okay. Now are they looking for just to see if they can get the price and see how they can nickel and dime that price down, or are they excited, as you say, about me? And sometimes you can feel that out, and right away that okay, that's what they want. But I had a couple of weddings or client meetings that I went to last year, and I thought for surely from our early conversation that we were good to go, and it was going to be almost a slam dunk when I got there, and found out that we get there and it's like, no, it was all about the money, and I can't compete on that.
Right. Are they think you're going to talk you into doing it for less? I mean,
that was really what it was in both cases. We're hoping that when I got there and met them, that they would change. I would change my mind and drop my rates. And it's like,
right. No,
you're talking the busiest day or the busiest time of summer when the weather's the nicest. No, I don't fudge or I'm not playing any game like that because my family on that Saturday, we will be camping somewhere way ahead of that. So
my thoughts on this, just kind of like to wrap it up and on for what we're talking about here, not to close the conversation, but just to kind of express where I'm at on this. I don't do sales pitches at all. I ask questions. I answer questions. I want to be as honest and forthcoming as possible with everybody, my YouTube viewers, my family, my clients. Some people want a sales pitch. Sorry, I'm not your guy. If you want somebody to tell you like it is and be real, honest and forthcoming with you, we can talk and we're going to get along just fine. But I don't do the sales pitch. And meeting with these clients for these preliminary consultations, I think I've decided that these are going to happen very close to my home when they happen. I'm not letting the client call these anymore. They can call a meeting when they've signed a contract. That's when they can do it. That's when they can say, can you meet me the next county over? Yeah, fine. But on the free consultation, they're going to put some work into this because remember what I said before? People don't appreciate something they get for free.
Yep.
So if you're willing to take the drive all the way into the place where most people live, which is the city, which you should live here too, if you're willing to do that, then you're serious enough to meet with me. If you're not willing to do that, you weren't serious enough to meet with me in the first place.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm starting to see it. And I hate to be that guy because I want to be the customer service oriented, easygoing dude about it, but it's starting to cost me more money than I'm comfortable with.
Yep.
So heavy pre-qualification, and that free consultation happens like on my block, not in my home. And that's something else I want to bring up. I think back in the old days, we'd meet people in our office. We have offices at home. Sometimes we're meeting people in our basements. That's creepy as shit. I think Starbucks is the way to go, or a coffee shop of some kind, or a deli. Public place everybody's comfortable with and you can stick around for a while. That's where you need to meet folks.
Yeah.
It's good. And there's nothing unprofessional about it. It's just comfortable to put everybody on an even playing field, you know?
And just one aspect of that is, and this is something I actually heard from a bride that I worked with this summer. She went and met with a couple of different wedding vendors. And she's like, the thing that's most distracting when you meet with them in their homes or in their offices is the smells.
Yeah. Well, it could be a cat. It could be it could be
anything that's, an old house has
food? You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you never think about that. Whereas if you go to Starbucks, you know what the smell is going to be.
No one's going to judge you because they don't like your carpet.
Yeah.
Or they don't like how either clean your house is or how tidy it is.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Just less things for people to have objections about.
Yeah. Yeah. So
let's. If your office is too nice, it makes it look like you're spending too much money.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they must be making a lot of money. Look at these nice decorations. Yeah.
Right. I had an agent like that, and they downgrade for that reason because it was too swank.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see, getting contracts signed and such, and continuing on this process. There's a lot of tools out there that you can use. I mean, obviously, the old one that we used to do with mailing out contracts and getting the contracts back, it can still be done.
Yeah.
But I don't think you don't see that happening as much.
You're doing digital signature now, aren't you? For the most part.
Yep, digital signature is out there, and with and multiple online tools have that, but the one I use is DJ Event Planner, and that particular one I can go and we can have the conversation. I can generate the contract. They can see the contract. They can go digitally sign it and accept it, and bing, bang, boom, and then it becomes a legal binding document. And then from there, they can pay retainers and things or whatever we need to do via credit card or PayPal or what have you.
Well, contract and deposit on the contract is mental ownership for the client.
Sure.
So if they've signed a contract and you've signed a contract, you're obligated to be there at their event, and they feel obligation to have you there.
Yep.
Especially if they have money on it. It's helpful to get people to commit to offer a contract in just that regard. Forget about everything else. That alone is worth having the contract.
I'm going to contend in this day and age with the younger people, when you and I used to go, okay, we talk to them, great, let me get your address and such, I'll send a contract out. Okay, we take that, we would maybe the next day print it out, throw it in the mail, they get it 3 days later, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. I would contend with this generation that's coming up and the younger people, from this point on, 3 days waiting for a contract is way out of, it's not going to happen.
You're right. And that brings me to kind of the last thing I thought I would bring up that I had on my list to talk about with this subject. When it comes to keeping these people happy and giving them what they want, there are a few things that I feel like that you can do. One of them is always under promise and over deliver on your services, because this is a service business.
Yep.
If you tell somebody, I'll have that tea in a week, have it to them the next day. That's a big deal. Then they know, hey, wow, he said a week, but I got it like 12 hours later. That's amazing. Or if you tell them, yeah, I'll bring an extra light or two for you, or whatever, and then you show up with several lights, that's over delivering too. They weren't expecting that. You give them more than they expected to get. That's value. It doesn't have to be giving them free things, but even just service in general, or a call back, or an answer to their question. Again, just if you tell somebody you're amazing and everything's going to be perfect and I'm the best DJ in town, and then it turns out something doesn't go right, you've blew it, because you really built yourself up and they expected a lot. Mm-hmm. And they may have still got a lot, but something didn't go right, so they're not happy.
Yep.
Whereas if you come in a little more humble and you underpromise, then you over deliver on that, they're going to be incredibly happy, and they're going to tell their friends how happy they are. I think that's a very important aspect of business.
Very much so.
Especially the service business.
Yeah, and I think this day and age is even more important than it was when we first started. And part of that is because everybody knows a DJ, and the information on DJs is out there, and there's such a level playing field than what it used to be. It used to be that not everyone could afford to have a nice yellow page ad. There was the cool ads that looked really neat, and then there was
expensive.
And the guys who had the Billy Joe Bob's DJ, call me. So,
quarter page ad, forget about it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The money we used to put into, when we had 16 systems and we were running around the state of Minnesota with those, the money we put into the ads, I mean, we were probably $700-800 a month, which isn't a lot, but when you look at the area that we were covering,
quite a bit when you look at what prices were on the average back then.
Yep.
It's a lot of dough.
That was a lot.
A lot of dough. And this is neither here nor there, but I remember the companies used to compete with trying to be first in the yellow pages.
Yep.
So there were company names like AAA DJ Service.
Yeah, AAA DJ. Or
111 DJ Service, or most ridiculous things you can think of, just try to be first in the DJs in the yellow pages.
Yeah, that was.
And the funny part about it was most people didn't start at the top; they went in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, they just went and they would look around a page and see, oh, look at there. There's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, let's just dive in here. I mean, that's how we move the menu at a restaurant. I don't open up and look at the first thing in the menu. I go right in the middle of the menu and try to find something.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to go to the top thing. That's like salad or something.
Right. Yeah.
It's like I'm out here paying for food. I don't want that. I can eat that at home. So overall, for those of you just starting out, to control and keep track of these things, there's a lot of digital tools. Some of the guys have mentioned some in the chat room. The DJ Event Planner, Gigmaster. A lot of these companies have things out there. You can check those out for keeping track of things. But there's a lot of the information in this day and age that you almost, because it's more of a service industry, as Brian was talking about, and you have to really kind of raise your game up and serving these people. That don't be afraid to basically be taking and using things like iCalendar or the calendar programs, and you're making notes and doing things by hand until you can afford to get into these different systems that will help make you more efficient. Because when you're first starting out, taking notes by hand and keeping those across all your computers is not a bad thing, and it's going to still gonna get you there. And you can get your sound system up to where it needs to be, and you can get this up to where it needs to be. And then once you get those things up there, then you can go and invest in an online service that's going to help you manage that part of your business. So
whatever works best for you. That's what I tell everybody. And the other thing I will add before we're done is don't get too wrapped up in this stuff, guys. I mean, I know DJs out there who the business end of it has become so incredibly important to them that seems to be all they want to talk about, and that seems to be the thing they identify with the most. Where I would love to see DJs out there, especially those starting out, still having fun with being a DJ.
Yeah.
Not running a small business does not turn me on. It's something I have to do to be a DJ, and I do it. So, and you run into these guys at shows. There are guys, I swear, I can't raise my right hand, but I'll raise my left hand. When you go to DJ conferences, there are dudes walking around in suits. I swear to you, they are. They are hot for business. And they feel like if they wear that suit, they're going to look more professional. And those guys, to me, are a huge joke because they're not having fun anymore. They're wrapped up in the bureaucracy of the thing. They forgot to enjoy themselves. They forgot to just be a DJ and have fun. Which is the point. I mean, if we wanted to sell insurance, we could dress like that, right?
That's true. Or, if you want to, get the missus a little excited, you wear a suit like that. But that's another show.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
That's another show. Okay. Gang, we're going to wrap up this show. We'll be back here in about 3 to 5 minutes here as we switch over. Go into the description down below. You'll see show number 2, and we'll be back to do our Q&A time. So if you have questions, get them ready, and we'll see you in a couple.